Okay, so we're going to play Let's Pretend for a minute here. Let's pretend you're allergic to cats. And you find yourself in a room with a cat, and all of a sudden, you get a little wheezy, you start sneezing, your eyes start dripping, maybe you get some welts and stuff, and, your friend comes up to you and says, "Oh, what's going on?" And you say, "Oh, well, there's a cat. I'm allergic to cats." And your friend looks at you and says, "Oh, there's nothing to be allergic to." And you look back at your friend and say, "What do you mean there's nothing to be allergic to? There's a cat. I'm allergic to cats." And your friend looks at you and says, "No, just stop sneezing. Everything will be okay." That's not how allergies work. Now, while panic disorder is no allergy, it definitely produces its own unique brand of misery, too. And just like with an allergy, you can't just snap your fingers and make a panic attack or your panic disorder go away. That's not how it works. Now, hopefully, no one would actually walk up to an allergy sufferer and say, "Oh, just make that sneezing go away." It's obviously very ineffective advice. And as a panic disorder sufferer, I've received some very ineffective, although in many cases well-intentioned, advice as to how I should treat my panic attacks. So, for PsychCentral.com, I'm Summer Bretsky, and these are 5 things that you should not say to somebody who has panic disorder. Thing number 1, just calm down. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. As a panic disorder sufferer myself, if you said that to me, I would look at you and say, "Okay, how?" Okay, let's pick this one apart piece by piece. Just calm down. Even just the word just, that implies that calming down is some sort of really simple and easy activity. For those of you who don't have panic disorder or don't have a problem with anxiety, it very well may be an easy thing. But for someone who suffers from frequent panic attacks, calming down is something that might really take years to learn how to do. And just the phrase calm down in and of itself can compound one's anxiety. When I have a panic attack, obviously I'd love to calm down, but if someone looks at me and says calm down, it almost feels like they're telling me what to do. And if I'm at the point where I already can't control my body, I can't control the fact that I'm shaking, I can't control my heartbeat, I can't control my racing thoughts, calm down seems like just another request that's impossible to comply with. The better response? Can I help you calm down? Or, is there anything that I can do for you? Thing number 2, why can't you just relax? Fantastic question, man. I'm wondering that myself. I mean, panic attacks are pretty complicated. There's a whole host of physiological symptoms, including increased heart rate, adrenaline rushes, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, heart palpitations, nausea, trembling and shaking, numbing and tingling in the hands and feet. That's some pretty scary stuff. It's our body's natural fight or flight response that would normally kick in, say, when we're being chased by a wild animal. It's the physiological sensations that try to drive us to run away and to keep us alive. Calming down from that and relaxing it's like trying to relax while you're being chased by a wild animal or running out of a burning building. It's just not really possible. I mean, that fight or flight response is kicked in, and it can take a while to calm down from that. It's not a helpful comment. A better response is, "I'm here for you. What can I do to help you relax?" Thing number 3 that you shouldn't say to someone who is having a panic attack: "There's nothing wrong with you." I can see why that phrase is so well-intentioned, but it's almost as if the person watching me have a panic attack doesn't fully believe the gravity of what my body and my mind are going through at the time. I mean, that kind of phrase just makes me want to reply, "Yes, there is something wrong with me right now. It's very clear. My body is shaking and, I'm lightheaded. I can't feel my feet. There's a coat of sweat all over my body. Of course there's something wrong with me. I'm having a panic attack and it feels miserable." But of course, getting defensive and saying things like that during a panic attack is just likely to make things worse. So a better response would be, "This must be uncomfortable. What can I do to make it better for you?" Number 4, sit down. I know it doesn't sound like a horrible thing, telling someone to sit down, but sometimes when you're panicking, especially when I'm panicking, I get a rush of adrenaline. It doesn't really go away unless I walk it off. If I'm sitting down, I could just let that adrenaline go and go and go and go, and it just makes me feel worse and worse and worse. But if I get up and go for a walk, or leave the room that I'm in and just kind of, change my surroundings briefly, that can help the adrenaline level to decrease. So sitting down might be a good thing sometimes, but let the panicker decide what feels most comfortable for him or her. If they're lightheaded and they want to sit down, by all means. But don't make them sit down or lay down if that is not what feels comfortable for them. If I'm having a panic attack, I'd like to hear someone say to me, "What do you want to do? Sit down or go for a walk? I'll do either with you." And finally, the fifth thing that you shouldn't say to someone with panic disorder while they're having a panic attack is, "You're overreacting." We know we're overreacting. That's what panic disorder is all about. You take a tiny little stimulus and in our mind and in our body, it gets blown up to this giant thing. We know, many of us know how panic disorder operates and the different physiological sensations, and we get the basic gist of things. So reminding us that we're overreacting in the heat of the panic attack moment isn't really helpful if we haven't yet developed the skills that we need to kind of disengage the panic attack circuitry. During panic, our bodies and our minds are in overdrive, and unless we've had some experience with cognitive behavioral therapy, we might not be able to shift gears very quickly. So instead of telling the panicker that he or she is overreacting, just offer to wait there until the panic attack passes. Even just using a phrase like that, "I'll be here until it passes," will remind the panicker that yes, this is something that will pass. It's passed before and it's going to pass again. Now, some of these statements might be appropriate for someone with panic disorder to hear after the, immediate threat of panic has passed. But during an attack, it's a very difficult time, and the goal is just to simply get through it. And finally, a question for you. What is the most unhelpful thing that you have ever heard someone tell you while you were having a panic attack? Go ahead and leave a comment below this video, or if you're watching this video from the PsychCentral.com page, leave a comment on the blog post. Thanks for watching, and I hope you and your family members and friends have a panic-free week.